ago, I did something that I don't usually do anymore, and I'm going to share with you today why I don't give free workshops and I encourage my clients to charge for their time, and how I flipped the script a couple weeks ago and tried something different. And I want to tell you why, and I want to tell you how to decide when to use free content and when to charge for what you do. I am a huge advocate for you getting paid for your time. I have been digging into money mindset and working with clients that are female entrepreneurs in the last few years, and there is a huge level of scarcity that's driving our free content. There's this level of not underneath of when we start to really dig, it's this feeling of, I don't know if I'm really worth it. So I'm just going to give them all these free things and hope that that will make them like me. If that's hitting a nerve right now, that's okay. That is a huge area where you're now able, that's lit up and illuminated, that you're now able to work through. Anytime in momentum restart coaching, when we hit a setback or we notice a mindset block, we celebrate because now we can evaluate it, we can learn from it, and you can grow through it. So if that's you with free content, I want to challenge you today to keep listening, and I will be sharing snippets from my boundaries workshop I did a few weeks ago when I talk about how to price for what you're worth. Now, there is a time and place for free content. This podcast is free content. If you are creating free content, I want you to really ask yourself a few questions. First, why are you creating this free content? Does it light you up to create this free content? Does it really recharge you and energize you? And what is it doing? And then I want to challenge you to amplify your efforts when creating this content. Let me tell you what I mean. This podcast here is free content for you, and I love creating it. If there was just one thing, if I had to pick one way of sharing things with you, it would be the podcast. If that was the only way, if I had to pick one, it would be this podcast. It lights me up. I love the conversations we have here. And I love the chance of creating these topics for you and stories and hearing your feedback. So I want to pause real quick and ask you to leave a review because that helps others find this podcast and it helps me know what you are enjoying. It helps me know what you want more of. So pause if you haven't left a review. I'd really appreciate it. I read every review. Scroll to the bottom of this podcast page and you'll see a chance to leave a 5-star review and share with me what has been standing out to you. What do you want to hear more of? What are you loving about this podcast lately? Now, this podcast lights me up. I know the reason why I do it. It is a chance for you to experience what the momentum restart really is. The momentum restart is an extremely unique coaching opportunity. It's a time to learn not just business strategy, but how to create a business in a way that you can feel productive and effective without the hustle, and to give yourself back time and CEO self-care and spending quality time with the people that you love and doing the things that you love. Because we learn how to create businesses, you learn how to create a business that supports you and your personal life, that treats you as a whole person. That's what this is about. And that is my hope for you here with the Momentum Restart podcast, is that you get a little taste of what that's really, really like. It's hard to share exactly what it's like inside the Momentum Restart coaching if you haven't been there yet. And clients are always saying, I feel so much relief. I feel so much more joyful in my day-to-day life. I love what I do again. I'm all these amazing things. And I can tell you that all day long, but what I want you to experience here in the podcast is experiencing it in real life, experiencing what it's like to have myself on the other end of the microphone and cheering you on and telling you, hey, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything like that next person. You don't have to do everything that everyone else is telling you to do. You know in your gut what you want. And I want to support you to do that, the thing that you want, not the things that everyone else is telling you to do. So if you do have free content, a lead magnet, if you're going live on Instagram, if you have a podcast, or if you don't have a podcast, if you've done an interview on someone else's podcast, that's free content. If you have a blog, anything like that you're giving away for free, utilize that content in a way that maximizes your time. Your time is so valuable and it's so limited. So if you're spending time creating something, let's amplify it. Let's amplify your time by offering that same content in as many places as you can over and over and over again, especially if you know it's a good one. And today is a really, really good one. You can now, we're doing this ourselves here with the Momentum Restart. You can now watch the Momentum Restart podcast live on YouTube. It's not live. It's recorded on YouTube. Also, we're on YouTube Shorts. Thanks to Taryn Soa Production. She's helping me get up and running with video, with YouTube Shorts. So helpful. We're finally getting all of these. I have helped getting these podcast episodes written, transcribed into blogs so that you can read them if you're more of a reader. We're using these podcasts that I love giving, and that gives you a glimpse inside the Momentum Restart, and we're amplifying it. That's how we use free content. Now today, if you are a business owner and you are constantly creating freebies but not seeing return, we're going to dive into that today. If you're a mom who feels like your time is everyone else's but your own, we're going to give you back some time today. And if your business is scaling, but you know deep down that you want to be able to do this without feeling burnt out, get ready for some inspiration today in today's podcast. I'll be sharing a few of my favorite parts of the workshop, Simple Boundaries, Strong Business. Your business foundation is built on you. You are the biggest asset of your business, and you need boundaries in your schedule with your clients, with yourself, in order for your business to succeed. The first thing we need to do when we are shifting this perspective, why we need boundaries, we want to pinpoint. The first step is pinpointing where. Where do you need some boundaries? There are a few places. There's many places we can. I'm going to pick a few today. The first is your schedule. And that's probably the most obvious. When we're saying yes to things have you ever said yes to things that you know you don't have time for? Or you've maybe created a list a mile long when you only have 20 minutes to complete it. I've totally done that. Yesterday, I was working with a client and she was telling me, I said, what are you going to be doing today what's on your top of your priority list? And she gave me her whole list. And then I said, okay, but you have this call and you have this, and then you have to pick up your son at 3. So why don't we just narrow those down? And she said, oh yeah, I also have this call, and said, you're not going to do anything today. We're just going to throw away that list. We need to give ourselves permission to have that boundary in our schedule. Another area where you might need boundaries, and as these kind of pop up, write down, you can put them in the chat, of if there's one that really pings and you're feeling like, oh, that's it. That's the place I need to start. You don't need to start with all of these. Every one of you has one that's going to start a ripple effect, and boundaries you set in place over time. So your schedule is the first one. The second one is with your clients. If you are available 24/7, or you don't have those specific hours of when you're getting back to clients, or you feel like, oh, they texted me, it's just going to be a few minutes, or it's after 8, but that's okay. I'll just get back to them now. What happens is we're training our clients to think they can always get a hold of us. And then one time when I was at my son's birthday party and I was thinking, I don't take calls after a certain time, but I had trained my clients at that point years ago that I did. So when their call came up, I left my son's birthday party to go and take this client call, which was something that could have waited till the morning. And it was that moment when I realized I have trained, this is not on her, this is me. I have trained her to respond to me like this. So if we're available 24/7, or for answering client messages during personal time, or even on a personal device, if we are texting, giving our clients our personal phone number to text, that's something to consider. Overgiving with our clients. Coaches and service providers, we are the gold standard of people in this world, I really believe. You have such a heart for people. You have such a big heart for serving and helping people. And that's why you're so good at your job. I want to also encourage you to watch for where you might be overgiving. And what that looks like is it overgiving from a place of, I don't want this client to leave. I feel like she might leave. I feel like she might cancel. I feel like she might not go with me. So I'm just going to way overgive my time, way overgive my services. You have a list of what your services are and what you provide, and I'm sure it's incredible. That's a great practice to write those down and look at, oh, this is what I give. It's so good. This is what they can expect from me. Anything else, you don't have to give unless they're paying for it, which we're going to talk about that. If you're doing everything another thing with our clients is if we're doing everything for our clients, especially as coaches or service providers, if you're doing everything for them instead of guiding them and teaching them how to have the transformation that they need. Because again, you want to see them have a transformation, right? I feel this in my bones because I help women get the life and the business that they want. And so often I just want to be like, okay, just move over. I'm just going to do everything for you. I'll create this, I'll do this. I'm going to contact your client because I just want to see them succeed so bad. But I know that's not actually going to help give them long-term success. It's me coming alongside them, showing them, teaching them, guiding them, cheering them on, allowing them to win and fail so that we can learn from it and move forward. So your schedule, your clients. Another area where you might need to set boundaries is with your leads, prospects, potential clients. Are you accepting everyone and anyone because they're willing to pay? That's something to consider, a boundary that we might need to have. If you haven't zeroed in on your ideal client, then, and also remember, and I say this with a heart of, there is a coach, there is a service provider, there is someone for everyone. So if they are not your ideal client, that doesn't mean that you don't care about them. That means you know that there's someone else who's a better fit for them, and that leaves you space to bring in your ideal client, the one that you know you're going to be able to help, and that's going to light you up, and that's going to allow you space to enjoy your personal life. So there's enough to go around, and we're going to let go of that scarcity and remember that there's so much available to us. There's so much abundance available to us. When we look in that chat and we see all of that abundance that's available, we know there's enough to go around. So when we are zeroing in on who we want to work with, what the values are of that person, then we're able to set a boundary that sets up like a ripple effect. We know that this client, if we take them on, they will not be overstepping our boundaries on our schedule. We know that they won't be overstepping the boundaries on wanting me to do everything for them instead of allowing me to teach them and them doing the work. That's what I mean when setting up boundaries of who you are willing to take on. Years ago, I used to teach piano full time, and I had a piano studio. And when I first got started 20 years ago, I would take anyone. I was like, sure, come, anyone, anything. And I bent over backwards to make every lesson exactly what every single person needed and was teaching 20 different ways throughout the day. I remember one family said, we want to come over and can you get us a plate of donuts because my son will only play if there's donuts or something like that. So I'm going to get a plate of donuts and have everything. I was bending over backwards doing all these things. And it wasn't until I realized, no, this is draining me, so that the kids who are wanting to learn and the parents who are here and want to be in this piano studio, it's draining me. So I can't actually give them my best. These other clients needed to go to a group keyboard class or something different that better fit them. And it was when I decided that I'm not going to take everyone, that my client roster was filled with clients I loved. And I loved every student I taught over those 20 years because I knew who I worked well with. The fourth area where you might need boundaries is yourself. We want to stop people pleasing. We want to make sure you're prioritizing your self-care, knowing where our business falls in our line of priorities. You, your family, then your business. It's you, your family, then your business. I have to remind myself of this often too. There are no emergencies in our business. There's no emergencies in our business. There's emergencies for us and our family, not in our business. It's a process. It's something fun we get to do every day. Some of you may be health coaches here too. And I know that, are you prioritizing while you grow your business? Are you prioritizing your own self-care too? I want to encourage you. I've been there when I was working in the wellness industry as well. I found myself in that hustle culture of, I started this because I wanted to transform lives and I wanted everyone to feel as good as I did, but all of a sudden I feel terrible. And so it was when I realized I needed to prioritize my sleep again and my nutrition and my nurturing of myself. So all of these are different areas where you may need to set a boundary. And I want to take a quick break because that was a lot. Grab your phones, and I have something for you that's going to help you today. If you pull up Instagram and DM me the word boundary, I'm going to send you, after this call today, a journal page with all these questions to help you pinpoint. I'm going to put my Instagram in the chat. It's at Coach Amber B, the letter B, so that you don't have to spell Biebelheimer, Coach Amber B. So text me or DM me the word boundary, and I will send you the Pinpoint Your Boundary Zones journal page with all these questions afterwards. Okay, so we just went through a lot of where, and this might feel a little overwhelming right now, so I just want you to take a deep breath. And remember, it's a process. We do one thing at a time, and this is going to set up a ripple effect in your life. The next step of another area where you can send boundaries is throughout this week. If you're trying to figure out exactly where or when, it's in a moment where you might be feeling one of these red flags. If you start to feel resentment towards a client or a person or yourself, or frustration or discouragement, or you start using words like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this real quick. Or you're saying, I should really do this because that person told me to. If you're using the words should or just, or you're starting to feel like you're resenting, like when I resented that client for calling me during my son's birthday, that was a red flag of, it's not her, it's me. I need to set that boundary. That's a really good test to be able to find where you need it. Okay, so pinpointing it, finding that perspective is the first step. And now I want you to pick the one where you know it's going to have the biggest impact. It's going to give you the most relief now, and be able to put a boundary in place for that simple boundary. And remembering too that a boundary is just a simple routine that we prioritize and protect to be able to live the life that we want. So finding where it is that you want throughout this week, and when you notice these things popping up, if you notice resentment, write it down. It's okay. Give ourselves self-compassion. It is 1000% okay if you felt like you related to every one of these things or just one of these things. We are human. You have a heart to serve. It is okay to feel those things. And it's a process to go from where we are today to that ideal free summer that we're working towards. Thank you all so much for being here with me this morning. I am excited to hear where you are able to start creating these boundaries. Please share with me. I love to hear from you. You can DM me on Instagram at Coach Amber B so I can cheer you on keeping accountable for these boundaries. I know it's going to give you so much space for this summer. Remember, just start in one place, and that'll have a ripple effect over time. Have a great day. I'll be talking with you soon. Bye.